Greek mythology is very exciting. It is full of powerful gods, brave heroes, and strange creatures. These stories have been told for many generations, and they still capture the imagination of many people today. It is fun and interesting to learn about these ancient stories and to see how they shaped the beliefs and traditions of the past. Greek mythology is packed with action from the very first moment. Every tale feels like a journey into a wild and unpredictable world. Heroes sail across dangerous seas, climb mountains filled with secrets, and enter dark places where no one has ever returned. Each story keeps you wondering what will happen next. Will the hero survive the next challenge, or will a new threat appear from the shadows? The sense of adventure never slows down, and that is what makes these myths so thrilling to explore. The Greek gods are not distant or quiet. They act like powerful beings with real emotions. Some are wise and calm, while others are dramatic and full of pride. When the gods argue, the world shakes. When they help a hero, the entire story changes. Their emotions, choices, and rivalries create drama that feels larger than life. Watching the gods interact is like watching the most intense family feud ever told, and every moment is full of energy. Greek myths are not only entertaining, they also teach lessons that still matter today. These stories show the danger of pride, the reward of bravery, and the cost of greed. They remind us that even the strongest heroes must be careful, thoughtful, and honest. These lessons give the stories meaning beyond the action. They show us that even in ancient times, people cared about the same values we do now. This connection makes the myths feel personal and important. Greek mythology features some of the most creative creatures ever imagined. You meet a giant bull-headed monster, snakes that turn people to stone, horses with wings, and lions with impossible strength. Each creature makes the world feel alive and full of mystery. These beings are more than enemies or obstacles. They represent fear, wonder, and the unknown. When a hero faces one of these creatures, the fight becomes a moment you never forget. Heroes like Hercules, Perseus, and Achilles are strong and brave, but they also have flaws. They feel fear, anger, and doubt. They make mistakes, and sometimes they pay a heavy price for them. This makes the heroes feel real, even when they do things that seem impossible. Their journeys remind us that greatness often comes from struggle. Watching their victories and failures makes their stories inspiring and emotional. Before science, people turned to stories to understand natural events. Greek mythology explains why storms appear, why seasons change, and why earthquakes shake the ground. The myths describe the creation of the sky, the sea, the earth, and all living things. These explanations might not be scientific, but they show the creativity and imagination of ancient people. It feels like stepping into a world where magic shapes nature, and every event has a deeper meaning. Greek mythology is everywhere. It appears in paintings, books, movies, and games. Many modern heroes follow the same path as ancient Greek heroes. Many fantasy worlds borrow ideas and creatures from these myths. The influence of Greek mythology continues to grow, and it inspires new creators every day. When you enjoy a story that feels epic and magical, there is a good chance it was inspired by these ancient stories. The Greek myth world stretches across mountains, oceans, islands, and even the underworld. Each place has its own dangers, secrets, and stories. Mount Olympus shines above the clouds as the home of the gods. The underworld waits below with rivers, spirits, and the mighty ruler Hades. This world feels endless, and every corner is filled with new adventures. Exploring it makes you feel like you are stepping into an ancient universe full of magic and mystery. Movies and shows based on Greek mythology are amazing because they take these old stories and make them feel alive again. It is thrilling to see how each filmmaker and creator takes the ancient stories and gives them new energy. Some focus on huge battles and powerful gods, while others shine a light on the deeper emotions of the heroes. Every version offers something new. The colors, the sound, the characters, and the worlds all come together to show us what these myths might have looked like if we could stand inside them. Watching these stories come to life on the screen makes the legends feel fresh, bold, and more real than ever. For starters, we have Troy, a movie based on the Iliad. This film delivers non-stop action from beginning to end. The battles are huge, the duels are intense, and every scene feels powerful. The acting is strong, and each character brings real emotion to the story. You feel the pride, the anger, the bravery, and the heartbreak as the war unfolds. It takes the ancient tale and turns it into a dramatic and unforgettable experience. There is also the Percy Jackson franchise, which takes ancient Greek mythology and places it in a modern setting. This idea alone makes the story fun and full of energy. You get to see gods, monsters, and legendary heroes appear in today's world, and that creates all kinds of surprises. The characters discover their powers, face dangerous creatures, and try to balance normal life with epic challenges. It mixes humor, adventure, and magic in a way that keeps the story moving fast. It feels fresh, creative, and full of imagination. There are also the Clash of the Titans movies, which are based on the legend of Perseus. These films are packed with fast action, huge battles, and larger-than-life creatures. You get to see Perseus face monsters, gods, and impossible challenges as he fights to save the world. The energy is high, the moments are bold, and the whole story feels truly epic. Each scene pulls you deeper into the myth and keeps you watching to see what will happen next. Immortals is also an interesting movie inspired by Greek mythology. It creates a brand new story while using familiar elements like powerful gods, brave warriors, and ancient battles. The film takes the look and style of Greek myths and turns them into something bold and fresh. The action is intense, the visuals are striking, and the world feels dark and mysterious. It gives you a new way to experience the myths while still honoring the spirit of the old stories. There are also many movies based on Hercules or Heracles, which is his true Greek name. These movies explore his strength, his trials, and the wild adventures that made him one of the most famous heroes in all of mythology. Some focus on his legendary labors, where he battles fearsome creatures and faces impossible tasks. Others show his personal struggles and the weight of his own choices. No matter the style, these films always deliver powerful action, bold moments, and a look into the life of a hero who rises again and again, no matter how hard the challenge becomes. The Wonder Woman movies are also great and take clear inspiration from Greek mythology. Her story includes gods, warriors, and ancient legends that link the modern world to the old mythic past. The films mix heroic action with the magic and mystery of Greek myth, creating scenes that feel powerful and inspiring. Watching Wonder Woman face danger while carrying the strength and spirit of the Amazons brings a fresh and exciting twist to the classic myths. The Aquaman movies are visually stunning and draw inspiration from the myth of Atlantis. The worlds under the sea are bright, colorful, and full of life, making every scene feel huge and magical. The films mix action, adventure, and myth in a way that pulls you straight into an ancient ocean kingdom. The battles are intense, the characters are bold, and the visuals make the story feel larger than anything on land. These movies are a great way to see how a legendary lost city can be brought to life on the big screen. The Shazam movies are fun and full of action. They bring a light and playful tone while still delivering big battles and powerful moments. The story mixes magic, mythology, and modern life in a way that feels fresh and exciting. Watching a young hero suddenly gain the strength of ancient gods leads to plenty of surprises, wild fights, and funny scenes. These movies keep the energy high and make the world of myth feel lively and entertaining. Jason and the Argonauts from 1963 is still amazing, even after many decades. The movie may be old, but its charm and creativity remain strong. The special effects were groundbreaking for their time, and they still feel magical today. The adventure is bold, the monsters are memorable, and the story keeps moving with steady energy. It is a classic film that brings the world of Greek mythology to life in a way that feels timeless. This is a great movie to watch if you want to experience one of the most iconic mythic adventures ever put on screen. Christopher Nolan is also making a movie based on the Odyssey, and it will likely be truly epic. He is known for creating grand, powerful films with strong visuals, deep emotion, and huge scale. So seeing him take on one of the greatest stories in Greek mythology is exciting. With gods, monsters, and a long, dramatic journey, the Odyssey fits perfectly with his style. Fans can expect bold scenes, intense moments, and a fresh modern take on the ancient tale, all brought to life with the same care and ambition found in his past films. When it comes to shows based on Greek mythology, Blood of Zeus is easily one of the best. This series delivers powerful writing that builds a deep and engaging story, and every character feels interesting, layered, and important. The action scenes are bold and intense, pulling you straight into battles between gods, humans, and monsters. The animation is stunning, with smooth movements, striking colors, and epic visuals that make every moment feel larger than life. It captures the spirit of Greek mythology while adding fresh ideas that keep you hooked from beginning to end. Greek mythology is far better than Sword Art Online in every possible way. Sword Art Online feels dull, flat, and empty compared to the rich worlds, powerful stories, and exciting adventures found in Greek myths. While Greek mythology is full of drama, emotion, and unforgettable moments, Sword Art Online often drags with bland writing and scenes that fail to create any real excitement. Greek mythology keeps you hooked with its scale and creativity, while Sword Art Online struggles to offer anything that truly stands out. None of the characters in Sword Art Online come anywhere close to the heroes of Greek mythology. The legendary figures of ancient myth have depth, strength, and powerful stories that shaped culture for thousands of years, while the characters in Sword Art Online often feel plain and forgettable by comparison. Greek heroes face impossible challenges, grow through real struggle, and leave a lasting impact, while Sword Art Online characters rarely reach that level of meaning or intensity. Greek mythology is thousands of years old, and people are still talking about it, studying it, and creating new stories based on it. Its impact has lasted across entire civilizations and continues to shape movies, books, art, and culture today. Sword Art Online, on the other hand, will not be talked about for anywhere near that long. It simply does not have the depth, influence, or staying power that ancient myths carry, and its place in history will fade long before Greek mythology ever does. There is no reason to watch Sword Art Online when there are so many better options available. With countless shows that offer stronger stories, richer worlds, and more engaging characters, Sword Art Online ends up feeling like a weak choice. You can spend your time on series that actually deliver excitement, depth, and real creativity, instead of settling for something that falls short in almost every way. You are not missing out on anything if you skip Sword Art Online. In fact, many people wish they had never watched it at all, since it offers so little in return for the time spent on it. There is nothing special, nothing exciting, and nothing worth remembering, so the best choice is to simply avoid it. You can spend your time on far better stories without having to sit through something that so many viewers ended up regretting. There is a reason why Greek mythology is so popular and everlasting, while Sword Art Online is boring and forgettable. Greek myths are filled with powerful stories, rich worlds, and unforgettable characters that have inspired people for thousands of years. Sword Art Online, on the other hand, lacks that depth and impact, and it fades from memory almost as soon as it is over. Greek mythology leaves a mark on history, but Sword Art Online barely leaves a mark at all. Sword Art Online can also feel insulting to people who enjoy games, because the design of the fictional games in the show is very weak. The worlds, rules, and mechanics often make little sense, even for a fantasy setting, and the series rarely treats game logic with any real care. For viewers who actually understand how games work, this makes the show feel sloppy and unrealistic instead of exciting. It feels obvious that the story was not built with much research or understanding of how games actually work. The writing often ignores basic game design ideas, and many details seem thrown together without real thought. This makes the world feel inconsistent and unconvincing, especially to anyone who knows even a little about gaming. The Sword Art Online fanbase is very unwelcoming, especially when people share honest criticism of the show. Some fans react harshly to any negative opinion, which makes it hard for others to talk about the series openly. This kind of behavior can push people away instead of inviting them in, and it creates an environment where only praise is accepted while genuine discussion is shut down. To some fans, Sword Art Online is treated like the greatest show ever made, and they act as if it has no flaws at all. When someone points out problems or offers honest criticism, these fans often respond by insisting the person is wrong or spreading misinformation. This makes it hard to have a real conversation about the show, because any opinion that is not praise is quickly dismissed instead of discussed. Some Sword Art Online fans can be so over the top in their praise that trying to debate with them feels pointless. If you value your peace of mind, it is better to avoid getting pulled into long arguments with them, because those talks usually go nowhere. Honestly, spending your time on almost anything else would feel more rewarding, even something as simple as watching paint dry. Overall, Sword Art Online is a weak show, and the negative behavior that often surrounds discussions about it can make the experience even worse. If you choose not to watch it, You will avoid a lot of unnecessary stress and the heated arguments that often follow any honest criticism. Staying away from it keeps you clear of the drama and lets you focus on stories that actually offer quality, depth, and a better community. It is honestly baffling how Sword Art Online ever reached the level of popularity it has. The show is one of the strongest examples out there that popularity does not equal quality. It proves that a series can blow up even when the writing is weak. The world building is shallow, and the ideas are handled with almost no care. The fact that it became a giant hit says more about hype than actual merit. And Sword Art Online stands as a reminder that a loud fanbase does not magically make a show good. Just watch one of the movies or shows based on Greek mythology that I mentioned earlier. They offer stronger stories, richer worlds, and far more excitement. Choosing any of those is a much better use of your time, and will leave you with an experience that actually feels worth it. Now, let us talk about the best show of them all, Blood of Zeus. This series stands at the top when it comes to modern takes on Greek mythology, and it deserves every bit of praise it gets.
Blood of Zeus is an awesome action-packed show based on Greek mythology. This video analyzes what makes it stand out. Episode 1, A Call to Arms. The show opens by explaining that Greek mythology was originally an oral tradition, with many stories lost over time. Blood of Zeus presents itself as one of those forgotten tales, immediately drawing viewers in with the idea that this could have been part of ancient lore. This is a smart way to start, as it makes the story feel authentic, while giving the creators the freedom to explore new characters and conflicts within the familiar world of gods and heroes. Mythology did indeed exist long before writing was invented, so it makes sense that many stories were lost over time since they were never written down. Even the ones that were written down likely underwent major changes. Mythology isn't like a modern history book, where there's a single definitive record of events. Every storyteller could add their own spin. As a result, details evolved over time, characters were merged or altered, and even the core messages shifted to reflect the values and beliefs of different societies. There's never just one correct version of a story. It's fascinating to think about how many epic tales were lost forever, leaving us with only fragments of the original mythology. The show takes bold creative liberties, making it feel like an exciting rediscovery of a lost tale, rather than following the original mythology to the letter. This freedom allows Blood of Zeus to craft a unique and thrilling story, while still honoring the spirit of mythology. The first scene is a shot of the stars in the night sky, just like Clash of the Titans 2010, immediately setting a grand and timeless tone. The opening visually ties the story to the vast eternal nature of mythology itself, evoking a sense of awe and wonder. The stars, often central to many mythological tales, create a perfect backdrop for a story rooted in ancient legends, hinting at the epic journey ahead. Alexia and her troops chase two demons. While demons aren't from Greek mythology, their presence adds a unique twist to the story. By weaving in new elements like these, Blood of Zeus expands the mythological world in fresh and unexpected ways, introducing new dangers that enhance the narrative. Or maybe the writers are just huge Demon Slayer fans, and thought, screw it, let's throw some demons in here too. Who's gonna stop us? The demons have a wicked design that makes them look truly menacing. Their twisted forms and eerie details give them a terrifying presence, making them feel like a real threat. Alexia isn't a character from mythology either, but as an Amazon, a well-known part of Greek mythology, she fits naturally into the world of Blood of Zeus. She's an original character, and it's interesting how the writers blend established mythological elements with new additions, creating an authentic story that still feels true to its roots. It's also refreshing to see the armor in the show is vibrant and colorful, instead of the usual dull muted tones you get in most mythology-based movies or shows. Alexia is voiced by Jessica Henwick, best known for Iron Fist and Game of Thrones. She brings strength and intensity to the character, making Alexia both commanding and relatable. Her voice perfectly captures the warrior's determination, adding depth to every scene she's in. The action scenes in this series are truly impressive. The movement is fluid, every hit carries weight, and the choreography keeps you engaged from start to finish. There's a real sense of excitement in every fight, making every battle feel intense and dynamic, rather than just mindless action. The attention to detail in the animation, from character movements to effects like lighting and impact, adds to the overall thrill. Powerhouse Animation, the studio behind the series, deserves a lot of credit for bringing these scenes to life. Known for their work on Castlevania and other visually stunning projects, they've proven once again that they excel at crafting high-quality animation with smooth action and striking visuals. Their signature style makes every fight feel cinematic, elevating the show beyond just a typical animated series. They call this a Netflix original anime series, but it wasn't made in Japan, so that label feels off. The title card for each episode is different and fits with what's going to happen in the episode. This adds a cinematic touch, making each episode feel distinct and thoughtfully crafted. drafted, the original title for the show was Gods and Heroes, which feels fairly generic and could apply to any mythological tale. Blood of Zeus, however, is way more memorable. It immediately centers the story around Zeus, a central and iconic figure in Greek mythology, and promises a more focused, intense narrative. The title hints at a personal and strong family bond, while also setting a tone that's more gripping and adventurous. Overall, Blood of Zeus as a title provides a clearer and more compelling identity for the show. The show was created by the same duo that wrote Immortals, a movie based on Greek mythology. There are plenty of similarities between the movie and the show, from the visual style to the way the story incorporates gods and epic battles. These connections create a sense of continuity, showing how the creators' approach to mythology carries through both projects. When we first meet Heron, the focus is on his bright blue eyes, and it's not just a random detail. Later on, we find out that he's the son of Zeus, who also has blue eyes, so it's actually a hint towards his true identity. It's a nice little bit of foreshadowing that connects him to his father before we even know the full story. On top of that, blue eyes are very rare. Only about 8 to 10% of the world's population has them, so it helps Heron stand out. It's a subtle way of making him feel more unique and important, and it's a cool detail that ties into his role in the story. Although, I'm not a huge fan of the name Heron. It's spelled the same way as the bird, so that's what I think of when I hear it, even though the pronunciation is different. Most people discussing the show just end up calling him Heron anyway, like the bird. It doesn't exactly have a strong or mythical feel you'd expect for the son of Zeus, a name inspired by actual mythology, but slightly altered could have worked better. Something that sounds powerful and legendary, instead of reminding people of a bird. Although I guess Heron is still a step up from what celebrities are naming their kids these days. Imagine him being called something like X-A12. The buildings in the show perfectly match the ancient Greek setting. They have the classic architecture you'd expect, stone structures, and intricate columns that add to the atmosphere. The detailed designs make the world feel rich and immersive, capturing the essence of ancient Greece in a visually striking way. Heron sells the ore he mined to a merchant, who tosses the money on the ground and tells him that he should be grateful to be doing business with him at all, adding insult to injury. It's a clear sign that we're meant to despise this guy, and it works. His arrogance and lack of respect make him instantly unlikable. The currency in the show is drachma, which was indeed used in ancient Greece, making its inclusion in the show an authentic touch. It grounds the world of Blood of Zeus in real history, adding an extra layer of realism to the setting. Heron is paid 2 drachmas, which doesn't seem like much, but 1 drachma was typically the daily wage for a soldier or a laborer, so this would cover a modest meal or a small purchase. It's a fair amount for everyday needs, but it definitely wouldn't be considered a fortune. Heron's mother is named Electra, which is also the name of a character in several Greek tragedies. It's not the same character, but it's still a fitting name given what happens to her later. The name carries a sense of tragedy and fate, making it an interesting choice for the character. Heron is friends with an old man named Elias. The name has Greek and Hebrew roots. It also has ties to ancient lightning gods and various European traditions, which fits perfectly since we later learn that he's actually Zeus. This connection adds an interesting layer to the character, making the revelation of his true identity all the more significant. Heron goes to fetch some water and stumbles upon a woman in the fountain, but when he lifts her up, it's revealed she's actually dead. A gruesome and shocking moment that sets the tone for what's to come, though strangely enough there's no blood in the water. But hey, let's not think too hard about that. Heron gets attacked by a demon but holds his own pretty well. Alexia jumps in and takes on the demon, landing some solid hits, but it still manages to escape. There's a shot of some pomegranates, which is a reference to the abduction of Persephone story. She ate pomegranate seeds, which bound her to the underworld for part of the year, but we learn more about that in season 2. Alexia finds the demon in human form, but the guy really didn't do a great job blending in. He was trying way too hard to be stealthy with that hood, but it's pretty obvious what he's up to. Fire is used to reveal the demons, which is appropriate because fire plays a big role in mythology. It's a cool way to tie in that ancient symbolism. It's interesting how every background character has a unique appearance and outfit. Most shows would just cut corners and reuse the same designs, but not here. Every character feels like they're given individual attention, which makes the world feel more alive. Elias tells Heron about the war between the gods and the giants. After the Titans were defeated, the giants emerged. What's really impressive is how each giant has a one-of-a-kind design, making them feel bold and formidable. Every giant looks distinct, with their own features, and striking traits that make each one stand out, giving them a real sense of personality and power. While it might not be entirely accurate to the original mythology, where the giants were often depicted in more standard ways, these designs still capture the essence of their monstrous nature. The creativity behind each giant's appearance adds a fresh, exciting spin on the traditional mythology, making them stand out as memorable, intimidating foes for the gods to face. The artistic freedom taken here enhances the experience, making the giants feel larger than life in a way that fits perfectly within the show's world. It makes sense that Elias knows so much about the war. He took part in it firsthand. A fascinating detail is how the gods and the giants are depicted with a toned-down color palette, which makes their later scenes feel way more effective. This thoughtful visual approach adds contrast. The fight scene between the gods and the giants is intense. The animation is smooth and dynamic, and each god showcases their own unique powers, adding depth and excitement to the battle. Although Heracles is missing, in mythology mythology, he fought alongside the gods and was essential to their victory. It's a bit odd not to see him there, considering his key role in the battle. Without Heracles, the gods wouldn't have been able to overcome the giants, making him a vital part of their victory. Also in mythology, none of the gods actually died in the war, but adding that element in the show really raises the stakes. Unlike in the original mythology, where the gods are typically immortal and can't die, the gods in this show are vulnerable and can actually die like humans. This change adds a sense of danger and urgency to the battles, making them feel much more intense and unpredictable. The threat of the gods potentially dying makes each fight feel more personal and meaningful, and it shifts the tone of the story, giving it a greater sense of tension and excitement. It's a clever way to make the stakes feel higher, while still staying true to the spirit of the mythology. Zeus convinces two giants to switch sides. One of the giants resembles a Hecatoncheires, with its many arms, while the other looks like a Cyclops, specifically the one from the 7th voyage of Sinbad. After the giants are defeated, Zeus instructs Hermes to gather their souls in a cauldron, while Poseidon throws their remains in the sea. In mythology, the giants were said to be buried beneath volcanoes, and their restless movements were believed to trigger volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. The cauldron is fiercely guarded by Talos, a powerful automaton forged by the smithing god Hephaestus. In mythology, Talos was a bronze man who defended Crete from pirates and invaders, while many picture him as a giant. No ancient texts actually confirm this, adding an intriguing layer of mystery to his legend. A dead giant is cast ashore, and some people eat its flesh, which transforms them into demons. This is a pretty unique origin story. In mythology, demons are often portrayed as malevolent spirits, but here the transformation comes from something more tangible, giving the concept an interesting twist. The crossfade between the main demon and Heron's face is a brilliant touch. Since we later discover they're half-brothers, it adds a layer of depth, and foreshadows their connection in a subtle yet striking way. Heron wonders why the gods would allow this. Elias responds that adversity is what makes humanity strong. They would become weak and helpless if the gods were always stepping in to fix their problems. This is ironic, given that Elias is actually Zeus in disguise. Alexia asks Heron to join them, but he refuses, stating he doesn't want to fight for people who've forsaken him and his mother. This makes perfect sense, as it shows his unwillingness to fight for those who haven't shown him any loyalty. Heron packs his things and tells Electra that they should leave. However, Electra insists that they can't go, just as she's about to reveal the truth about his real father. They're interrupted by an angry mob. They want to use fire to test Electra, suspecting she might be a demon. Heron steps in to defend his mother, but despite his best efforts, he's unable to take on the entire mob. This scene shows his determination, but also his limits in the face of overwhelming odds. Electra burns herself to show that she's not a demon, a drastic and painful move. Instead of burning her arm, Electra could have chosen an area with fewer nerve endings and less skin sensitivity, like the outer thigh. Plus, there was no need for her to hold the poker for as long as she did. She could have tested it more quickly without causing herself so much pain. Elias tells Heron to climb a mountain and mine the ore beneath a rose bush. Meanwhile, Ares talks to Elias, and it's revealed that he's Zeus in disguise. This is very similar to Immortals, where Zeus also took the form of an old man. When interacting with the main character, when Zeus first appears in his divine form, his bright blue eyes instantly stand out in the silhouette, mirroring the way Heron was first introduced earlier. Additionally, Ares' glowing red eyes give him a menacing, almost supernatural presence, making his character even more intimidating. In the show, Ares uses a warhammer, a weapon choice that mirrors his appearance in Immortals. However, in traditional mythology, Ares is usually seen with a spear and shield, and sometimes a sword, as his main weapons. This shift in weaponry is a creative departure, but it suits the show's tone well. The warhammer gives Ares a more intense, formidable aura, aligning with his role as the god of war. Zeus is voiced by Jason O'Mara, who also voices Elias. It's interesting how the mortals speak with American accents, while the gods have sophisticated British accents. This choice adds a sense of nobility and grandeur to the gods, making them feel more regal. It's a deliberate and effective decision by the creators to highlight the divine status of these characters.
The gods would speak with kind of a British or transatlantic accent, while the mortals would speak with an American accent.
Most of the voice actors aren't actually British, so they're doing a solid job with the accent.
A lot of you get your British accent on for this show. Is anyone here actually British?
I lived there for 10 years. How's that?
Zeus believes that Heron has the potential to lead the humans, which mirrors his belief in Theseus and Immortals. It's clear that Zeus has a pattern of seeing certain mortals as key figures who could rise to greatness, to reinforce the connection between Zeus and Heron even more. The final shot of the episode is a close-up of Zeus's striking blue eyes. It's really fascinating how the end credits showcase behind-the-scenes illustrations of the scenes. Not only does it give viewers a sneak peek into the creative process, but it also highlights the artistry and effort that goes into each episode. Seeing how the characters, environments, and action sequences evolve from concept art to the finished product adds another layer of appreciation to the show. It's a nice way to acknowledge the hard work of the animators and designers, and it gives fans a deeper connection to the series. It's always fascinating to see how certain scenes and characters were originally envisioned compared to how they ended up on screen. This approach adds a personal touch, making the viewing experience feel more engaging and giving viewers a chance to appreciate the show from a new angle. Episode 2 passes prologue. A queen gives birth to two sons, but they're from two different fathers. It's actually based on a real biological phenomenon called heteropaternal superfecundation. This unusual birth mirrors the mythological tale of Heracles and Iphicles. Queen Alcmene conceived two sons from two different fathers, one being Zeus and the other her mortal husband Amphitryon. As a result, Heracles was born as a demigod, and Iphicles was fully human. While Heracles became a legendary hero known for his incredible strength and great deeds, Iphicles lived a more ordinary life as a human. This unique situation highlighted the way Greek mythology often blended the lives of gods and mortals, leading to complex family dynamics and extraordinary stories. Another similar story is that of Castor and Pollux. Both were born to Leda, but their fathers were different. Castor's father was Tyndareus, the mortal king of Sparta, while Pollux's father was Zeus, who took the form of a swan to seduce Leda. Heron is the son of Zeus, while his half-brother is the son of a mortal man, so these connections make sense. It highlights the contrast between their backgrounds, and sets up an interesting dynamic between the two. The environments in the show truly capture the essence of ancient Greece, immersing you in a world that feels both authentic and fantastical. It's as if you've been transported back in time, wandering through a land where gods, heroes, and mythical creatures coexist. Turns out Heron was just dreaming. He really shouldn't have been sleeping so close to the edge. One wrong move and he could have easily fallen off. The mountain setting makes sense, considering how mountains play a big role in mythology, like Mount Olympus and Mount Ida. Heron discovers the rose bush, and surprisingly the roses are blue. It's a fitting choice, since blue roses often symbolize mystery or something unattainable. Blue roses don't naturally exist due to genetic limitations. Roses lack the ability to produce the blue pigment delphinidin. The color blue is also associated with Zeus, so it works visually too. Heron mines the ore, and Zeus forges it into a sword. It's a bit unexpected to see Zeus doing this, since Hephaestus is the god of smithing in mythology. Zeus isn't known for making weapons himself. He usually leaves that to Hephaestus. Heron thinks the ore isn't malleable, but Zeus knows the secret of steel. While basic forms of steel did exist in ancient times, the Greeks didn't have the techniques to produce high-quality steel, like later civilizations did. Steel production became more refined much later, especially during the Roman and medieval eras. However, since Zeus is a god, it makes sense that he would know about steel. Heron draws the seal of Corinth, which features two winged horses coming together in the middle. However, in reality, the symbol of Corinth was just a single winged horse, also known as Pegasus, not two winged horses. Pegasus was closely linked with ancient Corinth, appearing on pottery and coins starting in the 7th century BC. The symbol reflected the city's deep connections to mythology, as well as its artistic and cultural achievements. According to Greek mythology, Pegasus sprang from the blood of Medusa after her death, and was tamed by the Corinthian hero Bellerophon. This myth held great significance for the people of Corinth, which is why they adopted Pegasus as a symbol, to honor this legendary story. It's interesting how Zeus shows Heron the Aniri on the vase. In ancient times, vases were often used to tell stories, with scenes depicting gods, heroes, and myths. They weren't just decorative pieces. They served as a way to preserve and communicate important cultural tales for generations to come. There's a scene where Heron lifts a boulder, which shows that he's had to work hard to build his strength. He's not some overpowered character with no explanation for his abilities. It's a nice touch that demonstrates he's had to put in effort and training to reach his level of power. Electra works as a farmer. Farming was a fundamental job in ancient Greece. Most ancient Greek citizens were involved in agriculture in some way, since it was the main source of both food and income. Electra tells Heron that she was married to King Periander, the tyrant of Corinth. Periander was an actual historical figure, which makes it interesting how the show blends real people with mythological characters in their own original creations. Some sources describe Periander as a tyrannical and ruthless leader, while others depict him as a fair and wise ruler. Zeus can take the form of an eagle, which is fitting since the eagle is a symbol of power and authority in Greek mythology, often associated with Zeus himself. Electra caught Zeus's eye, and he started having an affair with her. Zeus disguised himself as Periander to sleep with Electra, which is pretty much the same trick he pulled when he disguised himself as Amphitryon to sleep with Alcmene. I also thought it was a nice touch how they showed Zeus's transformation hidden behind the vase. Zeus gives Electra blue roses, which ties in with the blue rosebush we saw earlier. Since blue roses don't naturally exist, it's safe to assume that Zeus is the one who created the blue rosebush. Electra starts to suspect something's off when Zeus is kind to her, while Periander was always cruel. The conversation about loving Electra today and meaning it is similar to what was said in Christopher Nolan's The Prestige. Eventually Zeus reveals himself, but his true form should have actually incinerated Electra on sight, just like what happened to Semele in mythology, who was the mother of Dionysus. It's pretty cool how Olympus is located high up in the clouds. In mythology, Mount Olympus was believed to be the home of the gods, perched high above the mortal world, so it fits the legendary vibe. Hera has a bunch of crows, even though in mythology, her sacred animals were actually the cow, the peacock, or the cuckoo. Crows are frequently linked to Apollo in mythology, not Hera. It's an interesting change from the usual portrayal. I guess they went with crows because they look more ominous and intimidating. Or maybe the writers just really like the crow. Apollo's character design is seriously impressive. He's got long flowing blonde hair, tan skin, and golden eyes that shine like the sun. And his horse has a mane of fire, which just adds to the epic vibe of his character. Apollo has the ability to communicate and travel through mirrors. While there isn't a specific Greek god directly tied to mirrors, The story of Narcissus comes to mind. He was famous for his beauty and self-love, becoming infatuated with his own reflection in a pool of water, making mirrors and reflections a symbol closely connected to his myth. Apollo promises to protect Electra and keep her secret from Hera, since he too was born out of wedlock. This is accurate to mythology. Apollo and his sister Artemis were born to Leto and Zeus. Hera was furious about Leto's pregnancy and did everything she could to make Leto's life difficult. Hera forbade any place on Earth from offering Leto shelter to give birth. Eventually, Leto found refuge on the floating island of Delos, where she gave birth to Artemis and then Apollo. Their birth story is a bit of a rebellious one, and it's understandable that Apollo would empathize with Electra's situation. Apollo knows that Electra will have a son born out of wedlock. As the god of truth and prophecy, it's only natural that he would have foresight into her future. His ability to foresee events and reveal hidden truths is a key part of his divine role, so it's not surprising that he can predict such an important moment in Electra's life. Hera finds out about Electra and is furious that Zeus got her pregnant. This reaction makes sense, given her role as the goddess of marriage and family. Hera is fiercely protective of her union with Zeus and would never tolerate him having affairs with other women. In mythology, for instance, she despised Heracles because he was a reminder of one of Zeus's many infidelities. Hera's jealousy and anger in this situation is consistent with her character in mythology. It's fascinating how the Auniri are depicted with that shadowy appearance. It gives them a more supernatural, haunting, eerie vibe, making them feel like something out of a nightmare. The way they're presented adds to their mystique and makes them feel otherworldly. The Auniri tell Periander that he'll have twins, one of whom isn't his. This is similar to how the Auniri interact with characters in mythology, like in the Iliad, where Agamemnon is visited by a deceptive dream sent by Zeus, influencing his decisions in the Trojan War. Periander is about to kill Heron, but Zeus swoops in and saves him just in time. It's honestly pretty hilarious seeing the soldiers try to fight Zeus. Like, how could some mere mortals think they could stand a chance against a god, let alone the king of all gods? It's kind of absurd. They should all be reduced to ashes, just from being in his presence. I mean, in mythology, mortals can't even look at the gods without being incinerated. But no, in this show they're just chilling, facing off against Zeus like it's no big deal. Periander is about to toss Heron off the balcony, but Electra steps in and kills him to save Heron. In real life, there are different accounts of how Periander died, with one saying he succumbed to depression after the death of his son. It's interesting to see the show take a different approach and go in its own direction with his fate. Zeus teleports himself, Electra, and Heron to safety, leaving Electra's other son behind. This is a great setup for later, when we find out who the other son really is, adding a layer of mystery and anticipation to the story. Zeus hid Electra and Heron in the village, shrouding it in darkness so Hera couldn't see them. That's why the villagers thought they were omens of misfortune. It's great how all the story elements connect so well, creating a cohesive narrative. If Hera found out about Electra and Heron, she would have killed them, and honestly, who can blame her? No queen would want her husband having affairs and fathering children with other women. Electra mentions that her other son was killed, but unlike the previous flashbacks, they don't show it. This omission should give the audience a hint that something isn't quite right. Electra tells Heron that he should look forward, and it's solid advice. They can't change the past, but they have control over what happens next. Heron is angry because Elias has done more for them than Zeus ever did, but then he realizes that Elias is Zeus. Heron shouldn't be so angry anymore. Zeus had actually been there for them all along. Even though in this universe, the gods aren't supposed to directly aid humans, Heron calls Zeus a coward for abandoning Electra and letting her live like a dog. What else could Zeus do? It's a far better outcome than what happened to Io in mythology, where she was turned into a heifer. Zeus didn't have many good options, and protecting them from Hera's wrath, without completely exposing himself, was probably the best he could do. Heron is mad and throws away the sword that was forged by Zeus. The sword is made from adamantine, a material known for its immense strength. In Greek mythology, Kronos used an adamantine sickle, given to him by Gaia, to castrate his father Uranus. Additionally, the hero Perseus wielded an adamantine sword to decapitate Medusa. The use of such a powerful material adds a significant layer to the sword's importance and the weight of the moment. Alexia uses lemon juice and heat to reveal the invisible ink on the map. The ancient Greeks were using invisible ink more than 2,000 years ago. It's fascinating how they had such clever methods for secret communication long before modern technology. Alexia and her men are attacked by a group of demons. The red glow of their eyes and the red streaks on their bodies lighting up in the darkness is a great detail. It gives them a chilling presence, making them feel even more menacing. Electra is furious with Zeus, accusing him of being unable to take her and Heron away from their dire situation. She tells him that he fears Hera more than he loves her, and in a way she's not entirely wrong. Zeus has fathered many children with various women, so to him Electra is just one of many. The main demon is voiced by Elias Tufexis, and his voice is a perfect fit for the character. It adds a layer of intensity and depth, really bringing the demon to life. The demons send a three-headed dog to track down Electra, resembling Cerberus from mythology. This is a great nod to the mythological guardian of the underworld, adding a familiar touch to the story. Zeus finally reveals himself to Heron, and Heron, filled with anger, wonders how Zeus could just stand by and do nothing while Electra suffered. Zeus, with no easy answer, admits he doesn't have a good explanation. He hopes that Heron can find it in himself out to forgive him, but Heron harshly responds that he never wants to see Zeus again. It's a pretty cold reaction, especially considering that Zeus had been trying to help them. It's a nice touch how the gods are taller and bigger than normal humans or demigods. It makes them feel more imposing. This design choice adds to their powerful presence and really sets them apart. It's similar to what they did in other movies and shows, like Gods of Egypt and the Percy Jackson movie. The alternate character designs for some of the characters in the end credits gives viewers a glimpse into the creative process and shows how much thought went into shaping each character's look. Episode 3, The Raid. It's cool to see all the different parts of Olympus. Every area seems to carry a sense of wonder. The design makes it feel like a place where gods truly belong. Majestic and larger than life. The placement of every god's home is well thought out, starting with the lesser gods on the lower levels, and Zeus at the very top of it all, symbolizing his position as the king of the gods. Apollo drives a chariot, which fits with his role in mythology. He drives it across the sky each day, carrying the sun from dawn to dusk. Apollo uses a sword in the show, but in mythology he's more commonly known for using a bow and arrows. As the god of archery, his signature weapon was the golden bow, which he wielded with flawless accuracy. Hermes' character design is incredible. The winged shoes are a perfect nod to his speed and role as the messenger of the gods. His super speed isn't just for show. It fits with who he is in mythology, always darting between the mortal world and the underworld. The design and powers work together to bring the mythology to life in a really fun and accurate way. It's interesting to see the gods fight each other. They all have different powers, so every battle feels unique and unpredictable. That chaos makes it feel even more exciting. You never really know who's going to come out on top. Zeus attacks Ares, much like in Immortals, but this time Ares survives the encounter. Hera is furious that Zeus keeps humiliating her, and you can feel every ounce of that rage in her voice. Claudia Christian, who voices Hera, brings that raw emotion to life, with a performance that's fierce, commanding, and unforgettable. Hera threatens to kill Electra and Heron. She could just make Heron complete 12 labors, like she did with Heracles, testing his strength and endurance. Hera mentions she was queen of the heavens before marrying Zeus, but in mythology, Zeus is the most powerful of the Greek gods, so he really shouldn't be afraid of her. Zeus should be stronger than any other god. The lightning fits the tone of the scene. It adds to the atmosphere, making it feel intense. Hera says that the others mock Zeus when he's frolicking on Earth, and that she's the one who reminds them of what a great hero he is. Honestly, it's hard to believe that the other gods really care about what Zeus does on Earth. After all, in mythology, most of the other gods are just as guilty of having affairs, and several children born outside of marriage. For example, Poseidon, god of the sea, had many lovers and fathered numerous children, including heroes like Theseus, and monsters like Polyphemus. Moreover, Apollo, though not usually married, had many romantic relationships, and fathered several children like Asclepius and Orpheus. Hera is mad at seeing Hermes, but she should just get used to it by now. In mythology, Zeus has way more kids, with other goddesses, mortals, and nymphs than Hera. Hermes is voiced by Matthew Mercer, and he's a perfect fit for the character. His voice has a unique quality that captures Hermes' charm flawlessly. Matthew Mercer is no stranger to voicing complex characters, and he brings that same depth to Hermes. He's also known for voicing iconic roles, like Levi Ackerman in Attack on Titan, and Jotaro Kujo in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Heron uses a bow and arrows, much like many other characters in mythology, such as Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. Heron and Alexia team up to take on the three-headed dog creature. The fight scene is fast, intense, and fun to watch. The way they move and back each other up makes the battle feel exciting and full of energy. Zeus orders Hermes to clear the cloud cover over the village, and the animation of Hermes' powers is incredibly fluid, making his actions feel effortless and dynamic. The director, who has previously worked on Lego Flash, brings a lot of experience with fast-paced action, which makes the scenes with Hermes' super speed really stand out. The main demon, being kept mostly in the shadows so far, makes him seem more mysterious and threatening. The lack of clarity around his form plays on the fear of the unknown. Not seeing him clearly adds tension, and makes the moments he does appear later on feel way more intense. Zeus telepathically communicates with Heron to help him fight the main demon, but instead of just standing there and giving instructions, Zeus could have used his lightning, like he does in a later scene. The main demon rides a chimera, a mythical creature with a lion's head, a goat's body, and a serpent for a tail. In most versions of Greek mythology, the chimera is depicted without wings, so this is a notable departure from the traditional image. It's a clear example of how the show is taking creative liberties, adding a unique twist to the creature's design, and making it even more fearsome. Zeus tells Heron that the demon holds the elevated position, and he's absolutely right. Having the high ground in combat provides a major tactical advantage. From a higher vantage point, the demon can control the battlefield, making it harder for Heron to reach him and giving the demon a better line of attack. This strategic position makes the fight even more challenging and dangerous for Heron. It's the same reason Obi-Wan was able to defeat Anakin in Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. There's a scene where the demon's bite him perfectly splits Heron's arrow in half, which feels straight out of a Robin Hood tale. It's a dramatic and memorable moment. Heron spills some oil and shoots a torch at it to ignite the oil and burn the demons. This showcases his resourcefulness and ability to think quickly under pressure. The merchant from episode 1 nearly closes the gates on Heron, unwilling to wait for him, This really highlights his unlikable and selfish nature. Heron dives under the gate at the last second just as it's closing. A classic action trope, but still a fun moment that adds to the excitement. Heron's bow is broken, so he throws it away and grabs a nearby sword. There are 2 other swords though, so it would make sense for him to take those as well. The merchant then shoves Elektra to the ground and laughs. This guy definitely takes the prize for the most despicable character. The main demon is called Seraphim. He's not a character from Greek mythology. The name Seraphim comes from the Hebrew word seraph, meaning burning ones, and refers to a class of fiery angels in Judeo-Christian tradition. By naming the character Seraphim, it creates an ironic twist. He represents a corrupted, fallen version of the divine. Much like how demons in mythology subvert the godly ideals they once represented, Seraphim's name serves as a stark contrast to the darkness and corruption he now represents, adding complexity to his character. The merchant is the only one who will talk. His name is Aratus Theogonus. Aratus is a reference to the ancient Greek poet of the same name, who wrote Phenomena, a poem about the stars and constellations. The name Theogonus alludes to Theogony, a famous work by the poet Hesiod, which details the origins of the gods and the creation of the universe in Greek mythology. Seraphim brutally kills Aratus, and frankly he got what he deserved. He's been smug and detestable from the start, so it's hard to imagine anyone watching feeling even a shred of sympathy for him. Oh, here's a fun fact. Aratus is voiced by Fred Tatasciore, who also voices Hades in the show. They sound like completely different people, which really shows how talented he is at changing his voice and bringing each character to life. Zeus hides Alexia in a blue rose bush, which confirms that he's the one responsible for creating the blue roses. Although in mythology, Demeter is the goddess associated with harvest and agriculture, not Zeus, and Aphrodite is associated with roses, particularly the red rose. According to myth, the red rose was said to have originated from Aphrodite's tears and the blood of her lover Adonis after he was tragically killed. Hera leads the demons to Elektra, and Zeus is about to intervene, but some of the other gods step in to stop him. What's Zeus so afraid of? He's the king of the gods. It's a surprising moment, considering Zeus's overwhelming strength. It also doesn't really make sense for Aphrodite, Artemis, and Apollo to be siding with Hera. They aren't her children. They should be more loyal to Zeus because he's their father. You'd expect them to back him up, not stand in his way. Aphrodite and Artemis's character designs are stunning. Aphrodite's design exudes beauty and elegance, fitting for the embodiment of attraction and desire. Artemis's appearance embodies her connection to the moon and the hunt. Artemis's tan skin complements Apollo's, which makes sense because they're siblings. Artemis also wears a crown shaped like 3 crescent moons, which is a subtle detail that adds to her overall design. Poseidon's turquoise hair fits his role as the god of the sea. The color choice reflects the tranquil yet powerful nature of the ocean, making it an ideal visual representation of his domain. He's voiced by Chris Diamantopoulos, who's of Greek descent, making him a great match for the role. Breaking the law is punishable by death, much like it is for immortals. However, this isn't accurate to actual Greek mythology, where the gods can't die. Elektra looks up towards the stars, a nice callback to the very first scene of episode 1. Seraphim is about to kill Elektra, but Heron rushes in to save her. Unfortunately, Heron isn't strong enough to defeat Seraphim. This highlights why it was so foolish for Heron to throw away the sword earlier. The sword can cut through anything, and if he had kept it, he could have easily defeated Seraphim and saved Elektra. Not only that, but he could have prevented much of the chaos that follows. It becomes one of Heron's deepest regrets, a decision that eats away at him throughout season 2. It's a haunting turning point, because with that sword the future could have looked very different. The moment when Seraphim kills his mother Elektra mirrors the story of Oedipus in mythology, who unknowingly killed his own father. Both characters tragically commit horrific acts against their own bloodline, without realizing the full consequences of their actions. This parallel deepens the sense of tragedy. Elektra's death scene is absolutely heartbreaking. Heron is powerless to save her, forced to watch as she dies right in front of him. It's just like in Immortals, where Theseus is forced to watch as Hyperion murders his mother right in front of him. Zeus is horrified to see that Elektra died, but I'm sure he'll get over it eventually. After all, she's not his first lover to meet a tragic end. Seraphim takes Elektra's necklace. The necklace is an original concept for the show. However, necklaces do appear in mythology, like the necklace of Harmonia, which brought misfortune. It's interesting to see the alternate character designs for the demons in the end credits. It gives a fresh perspective on how they could have looked, adding an extra layer of creativity to their designs. These alternate versions offer a glimpse into different artistic choices and interpretations, making the credits an exciting bonus for viewers. There are also many different versions of Hera shown, each with subtle changes in style, clothing, and expression. These variations highlight just how much care and attention the animators put into her character design. It's clear that her appearance wasn't just an afterthought. Every version reflects a different side of her personality. Episode 4, A Monster is Born. Alexia says by the gods, which totally fits the world of the show. There are tons of Greek gods, so it makes sense that people would casually swear by them. It's a small line, but it helps ground the dialogue in the mythology, and makes the setting feel more authentic. Alexia finds Zeus disguised as Elias. He's mourning Electra's death, a rare moment of vulnerability from such a powerful god. Even with all his strength, Zeus can't bring the dead back to life, which stays true to mythology. Zeus places coins on Electra's eyes, which is a touching moment but technically not accurate. Traditionally, the coin known as Charon's obol was placed in around the mouth of the dead. This was meant as payment for Charon, the ferryman who carried souls across the river Styx. Still, it's a reference to that tradition, even if the placement isn't quite right. The choice of gold for the coins is fitting, symbolizing both wealth and divinity. The eagle depicted on them further emphasizes their connection to Zeus, as the eagle is his sacred animal. The eagle represents Zeus's power and dominion over the skies. Hermes' invisibility is a perfect reflection of mythology. As the messenger of the gods, he's not just fast, but able to move unseen between the mortal world and the underworld. His invisibility lets him slip past barriers undetected. Hermes collecting Electra's soul and taking her to the underworld aligns with his role in mythology. Hermes was often tasked with guiding souls to the afterlife. Known as the Psychopomp, he's the divine guide who escorts the dead to the underworld, ensuring they reach their final resting place. This role is an essential part of his duties, and it's only fitting that he carries out this task for Electra, just as he did for countless others in mythology. However, in mythology, Hermes didn't need a bracer to collect souls. Once again, it's awesome to see Hermes' super speed in action. His incredible speed really shines in this scene. Watching him zip through scenes with effortless speed emphasizes just how well his powers align with his role, and it's always thrilling to see him move at lightning fast speed. The black and gold color scheme for the underworld is a fantastic choice. It gives the realm a darker, more menacing vibe, enhancing its unsettling atmosphere. The contrast with the vibrant colors of Olympus makes it even more striking, highlighting the stark difference. The underworld is divided into several different sections, which aligns with its portrayal in mythology. Every section serves a special purpose, reflecting the complex structure of the realm of the dead in ancient tales. This is further expanded on in Season 2. Many other souls in the underworld are unable to cross the river Styx, since they can't afford it. According to ancient stories, these souls are usually those who haven't received proper burial rites, or whose fates aren't yet decided. Charon's appearance in the show is very mysterious. His full face and body are never fully revealed, as a long shawl obscures him entirely. This look adds to his eerie presence, leaving much to the imagination, and enhancing the sense of the unknown in the underworld. Electra talks to Charon one last time in a dream. In mythology, dreams are often seen as a bridge between the mortal and divine worlds, used by gods or spirits to communicate with the living. This connection through dreams adds a mystical layer to their final interaction, aligning with ancient beliefs about the power of dreams as messages from beyond. Electra tells Charon that there are fates worse than death, and she's absolutely right. Mythology is full of examples that prove this, like Prometheus, who was condemned to eternal torment for giving fire to humanity. Chained to a rock, his liver was eaten by an eagle every day, only to regenerate overnight. It's a haunting reminder that sometimes the gods' punishments go far beyond death. Charon is overwhelmed with regret for not being able to save Electra, a moment that underscores the deep sense of tragedy often woven into Greek mythology. It's a powerful reflection of how even the mightiest heroes are haunted by personal loss and failure. Charon is captured and thrown into a caravan filled with other prisoners. Among them are Evios and Kofi, two individuals with their own stories and struggles. Evios is voiced by Chris Diamantopoulos, the same actor who voices Poseidon in the show, but their voices and personalities are drastically different, making for an intriguing contrast. Kofi, on the other hand, is inspired by a real historical figure, an Ethiopian slave who gained his freedom by excelling in athletic competitions in Athens. This connection to real history highlights the complex backgrounds of the prisoners Charon encounters. Kofi also bears several scars across his body, visible proof of the countless battles he's endured, and the hardships he's survived. Seraphim chases Alexia into a cave and finally catches her, only for it to be revealed that it was Hera in disguise the whole time. It's a clever twist that likely fooled most viewers, making them think it was really Alexia. It keeps the audience on edge from this point forward, knowing that Hera could be hiding in plain sight, disguised as any other character. The suspense makes every interaction unpredictable and tense. Hera takes control of Seraphim's Biden with ease, showing just how powerful she truly is. She forces Seraphim to his knees without even lifting a finger, and even his ferocious chimera backs away in fear. It's a chilling reminder of how intimidating and commanding Hera can be when she chooses to assert herself. Hera reveals the truth to Seraphim. After his father was killed, his uncle Acrisius tried to kill him to claim the throne for himself. In mythology, Acrisius is the grandfather of Perseus. He's not related to Seraphim, because Seraphim is an original character created for the show. Acrisius was a king of Argos, not Corinth, and in real life after Periander's death, his nephew took over and ruled. Acrisius had 50 sons, which is a lot. Even Zeus, with all his affairs, doesn't have that many sons in mythology. Acrisius is voiced by Matthew Mercer, who also voices Hermes, but you never guess it. He gives each character a distinct tone and personality. It's quite disturbing to see that Acrisius would murder a literal baby just to claim the throne. It really shows the extent of his ambition and cruelty, highlighting how power can corrupt even family ties beyond recognition. It's a mystery how Seraphim survived the fall. He's not a demigod, so he doesn't have the built-in godly durability you'd expect. By all logic, he should have been a smear on the ground. A servant named Ariana rescued baby Seraphim and vowed to protect him, raising him in the wilderness. In a striking parallel to mythology, Seraphim suckles a bear. Much like Atalanta, she was abandoned at birth because her father had wanted a son. A she-bear came across the baby and nursed her. Hunters then found her and raised her in the mountains. Some of Acrisius' sons eventually tracked down Seraphim. He fought back but couldn't save Ariana, an emotional moment that echoes Electra's death in front of Heron. During the struggle, Seraphim received a cut across his left eye. Seraphim and Heron share scars on the left side of their faces, a visual connection that highlights the trauma they both carry. Seraphim eventually sought refuge on the eastern shores of Meladoni. There he tracked down the man who killed Ariana. Consumed by rage, he exacted his revenge, killing the man in a vicious and unforgiving act. Some guards spotted Seraphim and started chasing him, so in a panic he dove into the water to get away. He ended up getting washed ashore, where he stumbled across the body of one of the giants. Seraphim devoured the giant's flesh, and took the bident that was stuck in its body. With his newfound powers, Seraphim slaughtered most of the guards, and the last three in fear and awe chose to become demons as well, and pledged their loyalty to Seraphim. It's fascinating how the backstory introduced in episode 1 is expanded here, giving the audience even more context to Seraphim's journey. Now we know where the bident came from. It originally belonged to Hades, as shown in the flashback scene. This is true to mythology, where Hades is often shown carrying a bident. It's a solid detail. Hera also drops the devastating truth on Seraphim. Electra was his mother and he killed her without knowing it. There had been plenty of clues leading up to this revelation, making the twist all the more intense when it's finally revealed. It adds another layer of complexity to Seraphim's character, and his tragic fate. In mythology, there are several characters who unknowingly caused the death of a family member. For example, Perseus accidentally killed Acrisius. It highlights the themes of fate and unintended consequences. Seraphim was meant to be the king had Zeus not interfered. It's hard not to feel for him, knowing that his destiny was stolen, and the pain of that lost future shaped so much of his anger and actions. Although it's doubtful that Seraphim would have made a good king. His father Periander was a known tyrant, and it's likely that kind of harsh rule would have been passed down to Seraphim as well. The necklace with the two stones now makes sense. The blue stone represents Heron, and the brown stone represents Seraphim, reflecting the colors of their eyes. It's a subtle yet meaningful detail that ties their fates together. Hera wanting to team up with Seraphim is logical as they both have a common goal: revenge against Zeus for the wrongs he's done to them. It's the classic enemy of my enemy is my friend situation, and it adds an interesting layer to their alliance, given their shared resentment and motivations. And to be fair, Zeus definitely brought a lot of that revenge on himself. If he had just shown a little restraint, maybe half the chaos and vendettas wouldn't have happened. His actions, especially his many affairs, caused plenty of resentment, betrayal, and divine grudges that often came back to bite him. It's pretty cool seeing all the different vessels Hermes could have used to collect souls in the end credits. They ended up going with a horn, but you also see lanterns, harps, and even telescopes. Additionally, Charon's face is finally revealed, and it's a skull. It's a fitting image for the ferryman of the dead, a being who exists between life and death. The skeletal face reinforces his role as a symbol of mortality. Episode 5, Escape or Die. Despite being captured and trapped in a seemingly hopeless situation, Evio still manages to crack a joke, showcasing his playful nature and lighthearted spirit, even in the darkest moments. The prisoners are loaded onto ships with a striking red and black color palette that instantly evokes the intimidating aesthetic of the Fire Nation from Avatar: The Last Airbender. It gives the scene a more ominous and militaristic vibe. Alexia travels to Mount Pelion, home of the Centaurs, a detail rooted in mythology. The mountain, named after the mythical King Peleus, father of Achilles, is famously known as the homeland of Chiron, the wise centaur who tutored many of Greece's greatest heroes. Mount Pelion is a real mountain in northern Greece. It's cool how the show blends real locations and mythology to make the story feel more alive. Peleus and Thetis were married near Chiron's cave on the mountain, and all the gods were invited, except the discord goddess Eris. She crashed the wedding and dropped a golden apple, labeled to the fairest, sparking a rivalry between Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite. They asked Paris of Troy to choose who deserved the golden apple. Paris chose Aphrodite, who helped him win Helen of Sparta's heart, even though she was already married. Paris took her to Troy, which started the Trojan War. The centaur homeland is surprisingly clean, especially considering they're part horse. It's a small but striking detail, since they're often portrayed as wild and untamed creatures. In mythology, most centaurs are known for being rowdy, impulsive, and driven by instinct, more beast than man. Alexia reunites with Chiron, her trusted mentor. He's voiced by David Shaughnessy, bringing a calm authority to the character. However, he shouldn't actually be alive anymore. In mythology, he was accidentally wounded by Heracles with a poisoned arrow. Even though he was immortal, the pain was unbearable, so he chose to give up his immortality and died in order to be free from the suffering. Alexia was taught to absorb what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own. This quote is from Bruce Lee, which is undeniably cool, but it feels a bit out of place in a show set long before he was even born. Chiron helps Alexia decipher the map she stole from the demon, revealing it to be a star map aligned with the constellation Cassiopeia. This celestial hint leads to the labyrinth where the giant's remains are hidden. In mythology, Cassiopeia was the vain queen of Ethiopia, who claimed she she and her daughter Andromeda were more beautiful than the sea nymphs. This made Poseidon very angry. To punish her, he sent a sea monster, and Andromeda was offered as a sacrifice, but she was saved by Perseus. As an additional punishment, Cassiopeia was turned into a constellation, where she is depicted as sitting on a throne, often upside down, as a permanent reminder of her pride and arrogance. It's unclear how Acrisius is still alive in the show's timeline, while Cassiopeia, who lived around the same era in mythology, already has a constellation named after her. The contrast raises questions about the timeline, and how mythological figures are being adapted. It's revealed that Chiron has turned against Alexia, aligning himself with the demons, out of fear for the dangers of war, and the possible destruction of his people. This is definitely a bold creative decision. In mythology, he would never have taken such an action. He was always known for his wisdom, honor, and unwavering support of the heroes he mentored. This twist adds a layer of complexity to his character, transforming him from a symbol of integrity into a more morally conflicted figure in the show. The betrayal scene strongly resembles the iconic moment of Lando's betrayal in Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. The dialogue is very similar, creating a parallel that adds to the tension and drama of the moment.
I didn't have a choice. They arrived just before you did.
I had no choice. They arrived right before you did.
Chiron discreetly copies the map, showcasing his sharp instincts under pressure. Though he didn't have many choices earlier, this action reveals his resourcefulness and ability to adapt to unexpected situations. It's a clever move that shows his tactical mind at work. Alexia was meant to stay here, but Seraphim flips the script, changing the deal and forcing her to go with the demons instead. It brings to mind the Darth Vader scene where he's altering the deal and tells him to pray that he doesn't alter it any further. It's that same cold power move, shifting the terms without warning, leaving the other side powerless to resist. It adds a layer of tension and control that feels both mythic and cinematic. The broken figurine is a powerful visual, symbolizing the fractured bond between Alexia and her former mentor. What was once whole is now split, just like their trust. It's a quiet but striking image that captures the pain of betrayal and the emotional distance that's grown between them. Without a single word, it says everything about what's been lost. Seraphim kills one of his own demons for showing weakness, a brutal move that shows just how ruthless he truly is. It's not just punishment, it's a message. He demands strength and fearless resolve, showing zero tolerance for anything less. This moment underscores his relentless drive and his belief that only the strong deserve to survive, even among his own kind. Seraphim talks to Hera, and she's wearing the Golden Fleece for some reason, though the show never explains why. In mythology, the Golden Fleece is a big deal. It comes from the story of Jason and the Argonauts, where Jason is sent on a dangerous quest to retrieve it in order to claim his rightful throne. The fleece came from a magical winged ram sent by the gods, and it ended up hanging in a sacred grove, guarded by a dragon that never slept. To the ancient Greeks, the Golden Fleece symbolized power, divine favor, and the right to rule, so Hera wearing it is intriguing. It could reflect her influence over fate and kingship, but without context it remains a mysterious choice. Hera forces Seraphim to kneel again, and he's had enough. He's used to being the one in control, but facing Hera is a whole different challenge. Hera orders Seraphim to retrieve the sword, and use it to kill Heron, claiming that the sword can cut through anything, even Hephaestus' armor. But if that's true, then how did the sword get stuck in the rock in the first place? I guess it can only cut through stuff when it's activated, and while there are many famous swords in mythology, such as Excalibur, none of them are said to have the power to cut through anything, even armor made by the gods. Seraphim finds the sword, and the way it glows blue, along with the sound effects it makes, is similar to the lightsabers from Star Wars. The sword sticking out of the stone is clearly a nod to Excalibur from Arthurian legend, where only the rightful king could pull it free. It's a classic visual that immediately signals destiny and power, and seeing it used here adds a mythic touch. The prisoners on the ship manage to break free and fight back against the demons. It's an intense action scene that demonstrates their teamwork and determination. Evios rams the ship into another, causing a dramatic crash. This moment is reminiscent of the Naval Coliseum battle in Gladiator 2, intensifying the action and raising the stakes. Hermes watches Hera conversing with Seraphim while he's invisible, and collecting the soul of the fallen demon. It's awesome to see Hermes' invisibility power in action, adding an extra layer of intrigue to the scene. It makes you wonder how many other scenes Hermes might have been secretly watching, hidden from view. Seraphim attacks Heron with the sword, and Heron is powerless to defend himself. Zeus watches from above and intervenes, hurling bolts of lightning to protect his son, and stop Seraphim in his tracks. It's an awesome action scene, demonstrating just how unstoppable he can be when protecting his own. Hephaestus has a mechanical owl, which is a clever nod to Bubo. From Clash of the Titans 1981, Bubo was a mechanical owl created by Hephaestus, and sent by Athena to assist Perseus on his journey. The owl became a cult favorite, quirky, loyal, and surprisingly helpful. Bubo even got a brief cameo in the 2010 remake, and its sequel Wrath of the Titans, as a nostalgic Easter egg for longtime fans. Seeing a similar our owl in the show ties back to that legacy, blending mythology and pop culture. It's a fun touch that honors both ancient legend and modern mythology stories. Owls are connected to Athena, the goddess of wisdom, warfare, and strategy. The owl was her sacred animal, often seen perched on her shoulder, or flying beside her in battle. So whenever an owl shows up in stories based on Greek mythology, it's not just a bird. It carries the weight of Athena's wisdom, and the spirit of ancient learning. The other gods see what Zeus is doing. It might have been a good idea for him to be more discreet, and not carry out such actions right in plain sight. The other gods are disappointed with Zeus. This is exactly what Hera intended, showing how well she's manipulating the situation to get what she wants. Apollo is seen sleeping with a male and a female. In mythology, Apollo had male and female lovers, so this is accurate. The guy beside Apollo is Hyacinth. In mythology, he was a mortal prince and one of Apollo's most beloved companions. Hyacinth was accidentally killed during a game of discus. Apollo turned his blood into the hyacinth flower, immortalizing him forever. You can even spot a scar on his forehead, a subtle nod to how he died in the myth. It's pretty cool how Poseidon is standing on a water spout. It reflects his control over the seas and water, something that ties perfectly to his role in mythology. The end credits show character designs for Atalanta, even though she never actually appears in the show. It's interesting. They clearly put time and effort into creating her look, only to leave her out in the end, and it leaves you curious about all the mythic figures who almost made it into the story. Episode 6, Back to Olympus. After Zeus's attack, Heron and Alexia finally reunite. There's definitely some chemistry between them. Plenty of people probably see them as a couple, and are hoping something more happens. Seraphim strikes at Hera with his bident, but she effortlessly parries the blow and sends him flying. It's a clear demonstration of her divine power, and a reminder that she's still a goddess you don't mess with. It's fitting that Hera and Seraphim talk in a temple. In mythology, they're sacred spaces where mortals and gods connected. Seraphim is mad that Hera sent him to kill someone protected by a god. He's had enough and tells her to find someone else to do her dirty work. But Hera isn't done with him yet. She makes a deal. If Seraphim helps her kill Zeus, she'll tell him where Acrisius is. She needs him to find the Cauldron of Darkness. Too many eyes are watching Hera, but Seraphim can move in the shadows. It's a tempting offer but a dangerous one. Hera's promises come at a price, and once Seraphim is no longer useful, she won't hesitate to cast him aside or worse. If Seraphim doesn't cut ties now, he'll end up as a pawn in a divine game. Zeus, disguised as Elias, appears and talks to the characters, but only Heron knows who he really is. Zeus has come to offer his help, but Heron doesn't want it. Still bitter and angry, he turns his back and walks away, but Zeus tells him the truth. He's the key to this war. It's a classic mythic beat. The reluctant hero, the distant father, and a destiny that can't be outrun. Zeus tells Alexia, Evios, and Kofi to travel to Meladone, and make their way through the labyrinth to find the giant's remains. The demons draw their power from the giant's remains, so if they burn them, the demons will die. It's a solid plan, and it makes sense. Although it does make you wonder, why didn't the gods just burn the giant's remains themselves after defeating them? It's also pretty hilarious how Evios casually calls Zeus Chinbeard. He has no clue who he's actually talking to. The irony is almost too perfect. Here's the king of the gods, and Evios thinks he's just some old guy with a beard. A group of Theban soldiers will join the characters on their journey. Thebes is a significant place in mythology. For example, it's the setting of many legendary tales, like the story of Oedipus and Heracles, so having Theban soldiers is a big deal. Evios jokingly tells Kofi that if he dies, he'll come back as a ghost to haunt him. It's a funny, lighthearted moment amidst the tension, and you can tell it's his way of trying to ease the mood. Heron finally agrees to accept Zeus's aid, but only if he also helps him kill Seraphim. Zeus, however, can offer much more than that. Zeus summons a griffin, a majestic creature with the body of a lion, and the head and wings of an eagle. He then transforms into an eagle himself. Heron climbs onto the griffin's back, and together they fly to Olympus. It's fascinating to see the griffin in action. Griffins guard treasures and sacred places in mythology. At first, Heron clings on, overwhelmed by fear as they soar into the sky. But as the griffin steadies, fear gives way to awe. He begins to trust it, and soon the rush comes not from panic, but from the exhilaration of flying. Athena's character design feels a bit underwhelming, to be honest. She looks like a regular woman, lacking the flair you'd expect from the goddess of wisdom and warfare. Her portrayal in Immortals, for example, is way better, with a more unique and powerful visual presence. The other gods are angry when they see Heron, but they really shouldn't be. Zeus has many other demigod children throughout mythology, such as Heracles and Perseus. These demigods have left a lasting impact, and Heron is no different. Hermes, Apollo, and Artemis come to welcome Heron. It's fitting that Zeus's other children are the ones to accept him. After all, they've walked similar paths, and now they see Heron as one of their own. Hera is furious that Zeus brought Heron to Olympus, but in mythology, Olympus isn't just home to gods. A lot of non-gods reside there too. Zeus is enraged because Hera has been plotting against him, but despite his anger, he doesn't want a war with her. In a rare moment of honesty, Zeus admits that all the chaos unfolding on Earth is his fault. It's an unexpected moment where Zeus sets aside his pride. Zeus acknowledges that he's wronged Hera, and promises that he'll never stray again. He vows to always be true to her, and begs for her forgiveness. But Hera isn't so easily swayed. She'll only grant him forgiveness on one condition: Heron's head. Zeus can't bring himself to make that sacrifice. Hera is mad that Zeus would choose Heron over her, but Zeus's response is unwavering. It's also hard to believe that Zeus wouldn't cheat on Hera again. He's done it far too many times in mythology. After so many broken promises, it's tough for anyone to take Zeus seriously anymore. A group of gods follow Hera and leave, clearly intimidated by the thought of angering her, but honestly they should be way more afraid of Zeus. He's far more powerful than Hera, and you don't want to make him your enemy. Zeus begins training Heron, but he's not very skilled in combat. You can't really hold it against him. Just a few days ago, Heron had no idea he was even a demigod. Everything is so new to him, and he's still trying to catch up to the reality of his heritage. Zeus facepalms at the sight of Heron failing over and over again. It's a frustrating yet oddly humorous moment. Zeus, the mighty king of the gods, watches as his son struggles at everything. It's a reminder that Heron has a long way to go before he can truly harness his potential. Heron throws a shield Captain America style. Zeus directly references Perseus slaying Medusa, and Hercules defeating Antaeus. It should be Heracles instead of Hercules, since Hercules is the Roman version of the hero. They even call them Heracles in Immortals, so they should definitely know the difference. In mythology, Heracles took on the giant Antaeus, who got his strength from being in contact with the earth. Heracles lifted him off the ground, cutting him off from his power. Heracles was then able to beat him. It's a great example of Heracles using brains and brawn to win. Zeus tells Heron to calm down and find his true power. He's right. When you're angry, you're reacting impulsively, which clouds your judgment and makes you reckless. Real power comes from control, focus, and understanding your own abilities. Zeus has a heartfelt conversation with Heron, where he opens up about his past. He admits that he never really knew his father, and when he finally met him, he had to kill him to save his siblings. He's referring to Kronos, fearing a prophecy that one of his children would overthrow him. Kronos swallowed each of them at birth. Zeus was spared because his mother tricked Kronos. Instead of giving him the newborn Zeus to swallow, she wrapped a stone in clothes and gave that to Kronos instead. She hid Zeus in a cave where he was raised in secret until he was strong enough to challenge Kronos. Heron still can't let go of his anger, and Zeus realizes there's nothing more he can do for him. Zeus admits that the gods aren't infallible. This is true to mythology. The gods are powerful, but they're also deeply flawed, making mistakes, acting out of selfishness, and dealing with their own struggles. It's a reminder that even the gods aren't immune to the complexities of life and emotion. Heron wonders how Zeus could let Seraphim live. Zeus responds by saying that Electra wouldn't want him to kill Seraphim. Seraphim is actually Electra's son too, meaning he's Heron's half-brother. The audience already knows this, but it's a shocking moment for Heron. Chiron arrives to give a new copy of the map to Alexia. While it doesn't completely heal the rift caused by his betrayal, it's a start, a small gesture that shows he's trying to make things right. It's a step toward mending their bond, even if the scars of the past haven't fully healed. Heron is getting better. He spots an opening, and with a burst of focus, manages to defeat the automaton. It shows he's beginning to tap into his true potential, not just relying on brute force, but thinking strategically. Hermes has been spying on the other gods, and he says that they've taken refuge in the underworld. However, Hades is staying neutral in the conflict. This is a refreshing take, as it avoids making Hades the villain, like many other modern mythology stories do. Heron meets the Fates, and it's fascinating to see them. In mythology, they're powerful goddesses who control the thread of life for every mortal and god. They determine the length of a person's life, their destiny, and even when they'll die. It's a nice touch how the trees around the Fates' building are constantly growing and withering away. It visually reflects the cycle of life and death. It's a subtle but powerful reminder that nothing lasts forever. All three Fates are voiced by the same actress, Jennifer Hale, but they each have distinct voices and personalities. It really shows off her range and talent. The interior design is seriously impressive. Everything is covered in threads, symbolizing the endless weaving of destiny. Spiders crawl among the strands, which is a fitting touch. The Fates show Heron his thread, and it's cool to see more of his backstory through flashbacks. One moment shows how he got the scar on the left side of his face from a group of bullies attacking him when he was younger. It's a small detail, but it adds depth to his character and shows that he's been fighting through pain and hardship long before the gods got involved. It also shows that Zeus, disguised as Elias, was always there for Heron. That makes Heron's anger towards Zeus feel unfair. While Zeus made mistakes, he never truly abandoned him. He was there the whole time, offering guidance and protection, even when Heron didn't know it. There's also a scene of Zeus telling Heron and Electra a story, which is fitting. That's how ancient people passed down mythology thousands of years ago. The stories weren't just for entertainment. They were how cultures preserved history, taught values, explained the world, and kept their gods and heroes alive in memory. And who better to tell those tales than Zeus himself? He lived through it all, so he's got first-hand experience and more wild stories than anyone else. But since Zeus is the one telling the stories, he's most likely just hyping himself up. Heron can either go help his friends or stay behind to continue his training, since he's still not fully ready. It's a tough decision, and it highlights the complex balance between responsibility and growth. Heron wants to be there for his friends, but he also knows that charging in unprepared could put everyone at risk. It shows how being a hero means choosing wisely, even when no answer feels safe. Episode 7, The Fields of the Dead. Zeus takes a bath. Seraphim suddenly strikes and drives the sword into him. Then he cuts off Zeus's head. Hera shows up and praises Seraphim for the job well done. but then it turns out to just be a dream. Of course it was. No way the king of the gods would be killed that easily. Hera has been using the Oniri to plant lies and false confidence in Seraphim's dreams, making him believe he's stronger and more valuable than he really is. It's all part of her game. She knows exactly what to say to push his buttons and get him to do what she wants. This moment shows just how manipulative Hera really is, brainwashing Seraphim and using him as a mere instrument in her grand scheme. He thinks he's in control, but he's just a tool in Hera's hands. Zeus talks to Seraphim. He admits he made a mistake by leaving him behind at the palace and apologizes for the pain it caused. Zeus explains that he's always tried to help Seraphim. He was the one who sent the bear to feed him, not Hera. In mythology, bears are associated with Artemis, not Zeus or Hera. It's also revealed that Zeus was the one who saved Seraphim. Considering Seraphim isn't even Zeus's own son, it's a big deal. Zeus didn't have to do any of this, but he did. All of it adds up to something clear. Despite everything, Zeus truly cares, more than Seraphim ever realized. Zeus goes on to tell Seraphim that it was Hera who led the demons to Electra, so her death was entirely Hera's fault. Seraphim is uncertain and doesn't trust Zeus. In response, Zeus reveals the location of Acrisius, taking away Hera's last remaining leverage over Seraphim. Now that he has nothing left to gain from her, Hera's influence should finally be broken. It's also honestly kind of funny how Seraphim doesn't react at all when he's talking to the king of the gods. Anyone else would be in total shock or awe, maybe even bowing in respect. But Seraphim just talks to Zeus like he's some regular guy. No sense of reverence, no hesitation, just another conversation. Chiron guides the characters to the fields of the dead, a land stained by the blood of the giants. It was here that the gods waged their fierce battle against them. In mythology, the location changes depending on the source. Some accounts say it took place in Phalegra. The characters are warned to not run or look back. If they do, it'll cost them their lives. It feels eerily similar to the Ghost Girl's Alley. In JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable. Alexia tells Chiron to go back home, reminding him that his people need him. They can't afford to lose him, or the valuable knowledge he holds. It's a moment that shows how the rift between them is starting to heal after Chiron's betrayal. Alexia is able to let bygones be bygones, and recognize Chiron's importance once again. The sound design enhances the atmosphere of the Fields of the Dead, making it feel sinister and mysterious. Every subtle noise adds to the haunting vibe, drawing the characters and the audience further into its chilling aura. Some of the characters freak out, running and looking back in fear, only to be killed. It's the ones who stay calm that manage to survive. This shows that none of the dangers are truly real. They're just illusions, created to test the resolve of the characters. The situation mirrors the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. In that story, Orpheus is told not to look back at his wife Eurydice as they leave the underworld, but overcome with doubt. He looks back at her at the last moment, only to lose her forever. Just like the characters in the Fields of the Dead, Orpheus's failure to resist the temptation of looking back leads to his downfall. The lesson is the same. Once you doubt, the consequences are irreversible. Alexia encounters her parents, but they begin to blame her for everything that's gone wrong. She knows deep down that it's not real. It's just another illusion. Most of the characters survive the Fields of the Dead, only to face a satyr. In mythology, satyrs are half human, half goat creatures, known for their wild and carefree nature. They're associated with the god Dionysus, and are often seen as symbols of indulgence, mischief, and revelry. Out of nowhere, Heron appears and swiftly kills the satyr. That was pretty convenient. Heron was riding the griffin, so he didn't have to cross the Fields of the Dead like the others. Heron came back to return the favor to Alexia, and it's another great moment between them, for those who see them as a couple. It's a scene that delivers, leaving fans smiling at their growing connection. Seraphim finds Acrisius. He's living alone in a cave near a mountain. Acrisius knew this day would come, and there's not much left for him to say. He saw an opportunity and took it. He argues that Seraphim would have done the same, but Seraphim sharply responds that he would never kill a child. Acrisius calls Seraphim weak. Even someone like Seraphim has standards, it seems. Seraphim still holds on to a sense of morality, something that Acrisius clearly lacks. Acrisius sees Seraphim in his demon form and doesn't react at all. It's as if demons are just a normal part of this universe, something he's used to. Anyone else would have been terrified. Seraphim brutally kills Acrisius, a far cry from his death in mythology, which was much quicker and less painful. This version of his end is much more drawn out and violent. The characters enter the labyrinth. In mythology, the labyrinth was a complex maze, built by Daedalus to contain the Minotaur. Luckily, the characters have the map so they know exactly where to go. They reach the spot where the giant's remains should be, but there's nothing there. Just as they begin to wonder what's going on, Seraphim and the other demons appear. The Chimera's forked tongue is a nice touch. Heron realizes that Seraphim moved the giant's remains, meaning their entire journey was for nothing, adding to the sense of frustration and futility. Seraphim admits he's tired of being a pawn, and for the first time acknowledges Heron as his brother. He's had enough of the gods, as he declares that they're more flawed than the mortals, and they no longer deserve to be in charge. He blames the gods for Electra's death, and urges Heron to join him in seeking revenge, so they can end the reign of the gods. Heron can't accept it. He knows that Seraphim wouldn't be a better ruler. This shows that Heron understands the weight of leadership, and refuses to be drawn into a cycle of revenge and destruction. Zeus can turn Seraphim back into a human, but it has to be his choice. However, Seraphim declines. Seraphim tells Heron that he's either with him or against him, leaving no no room for compromise. This echoes a moment in Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, where Anakin declares,
"If you're not with me, then you're my enemy."
The reddish setting also reinforces the parallel. Heron chooses to stand against Seraphim, and his anger erupts. He uses the sword to attack Heron, but Heron swiftly shoots it away with an arrow. What follows is a brutal fight, with chaos unfolding as characters from both sides perish in the clash. Only Heron, Alexia, Evios, and Kofi are able to escape. The characters get on the Griffin's back, but there's no room for Evios, so the Griffin has to carry him. It's a funny moment that lightens the mood, giving viewers a break from the carnage. Hera is furious at Seraphim for disobeying her orders, but Seraphim shouldn't have to listen to her anymore. She has no leverage now that Seraphim got his revenge. Heron brings the others to Olympus. Hera notices Hermes following her. Ares ambushes Hermes and pins him down. Hera then takes Hermes' bracer. It's surprising how easily they catch Hermes off guard. For someone that fast, he should have reacted a lot quicker. Ares is about to finish off Hermes, but Apollo arrives just in time, giving Hermes the chance to escape. Ares' red eyes glowing in the smoke drives home just how intense and threatening he is in that moment. Ares beats Apollo and hurls his body into the sea. This showcases Ares' raw power and ruthless nature. He's not just a warrior, he's a force of destruction, even against other gods. It's a reminder of just how dangerous he really is. Seraphim finds the cauldron and takes it, but doing so triggers the activation of Talos. In hindsight, it would have been smarter for Seraphim to take out Talos with a sword before grabbing the cauldron. Talos only activated after the cauldron was removed, so it wouldn't have done anything to stop him beforehand. Seraphim strikes Talos with his bident, but Talos easily knocks it away. It shows just how powerful Talos is, unshaken by attacks that would take down most enemies. This fight is on a whole different level. Seraphim slices Talos' heel, releasing a stream of golden fluid. In Mythology, Talos had a single vein running from his neck to his heel, sealed by a nail that kept the fluid inside his body. In Jason and the Argonauts, Talos is defeated when that nail is removed, causing all his life force to drain from his body. Seraphim subdues Talos and escapes with a cauldron. Talos wasn't a very effective guardian. Hera releases the souls of the giants. In Mythology, the giants weren't resurrected. The show takes creative liberties by reviving them. Zeus watches from Olympus and remarks that Hera has gone mad. Zeus could have stopped Hera if he used his thunderbolts. Hermes says he has an urgent message for Zeus, but he suddenly stabs Zeus in the neck. The real Hermes then comes and shoves the imposter away, revealing it to be Hera in disguise. This moment pays off an earlier setup, when Hera disguised herself as Alexia, teaching the audience that anyone could be Hera in disguise. However, Zeus should have been able to see through Hera's disguise, like how Ares recognized that Elias was actually Zeus in disguise. The fake Hermes also called Zeus by name, instead of father, which he usually does.
Zeus, I have an urgent message from Hera. Father, a word. Father, Heron's Poli is under attack. Fear not, father.
It raises questions about why Zeus failed to notice the deception. Zeus has red blood. In mythology, however, the gods have golden blood, known as ichor. It's the divine substance that flows through the veins of immortals, setting them apart from mortals. The giants slowly walk through the sea, like the Jaegers in the Pacific Rim movie. They're massive forces of destruction, moving with a slow, powerful presence that emphasizes their sheer size and terrifying strength. It's fascinating to see all the alternate designs for the characters. It really makes you wonder how different interpretations can reshape the way we view these iconic figures and their roles in the story. Episode 8, War for Olympus. The sound effects of the giants moving in the water adds a real sense of weight and scale. Every step sends a deep resonant rumble through the air, making you feel the sheer force behind their movements. Hera commands the giants to obey, threatening to cast their souls back into the cauldron if they resist. She makes an offer to the giants. If they help her kill Zeus, she'll give them dominion over the seas. However, the seas belong to Poseidon, and he's outraged when he hears about it. Rightfully so, because the seas are his domain. Hera doesn't own the seas. She has no right to offer what isn't hers to give. And why would the giants want the seas? After being submerged underwater for who knows how long, they'd much rather be anywhere else. It's also strange how Seraphim is still working for Hera. She has no leverage over him, so there's no reason for him to stay loyal to her. Also, how are the giants even able to hear Hera? She isn't shouting and she's standing far away from the giants. It should be more like that scene in Shazam where they can't hear each other from a distance. Zeus uses lightning to cauterize his wound, a clever and inventive use of his power. Poseidon saves Apollo and brings him back to Olympus. He realizes Hera has gone too far. He switches sides and aligns with Zeus. Poseidon, sensing where the cauldron is hidden, gives them a crucial advantage. Hermes offers to search for the cauldron, but Heron argues that Hera would expect him the most. Heron will go instead. Still, even if Hera was watching for Hermes, it wouldn't really matter. He moves too fast for her to react, and with his invisibility, she wouldn't even know he was coming, as long as he's more careful this time. Hermes doesn't want to risk the fate of the war on a mortal. Zeus responds by saying Heron isn't immortal. He's his son. Yeah, but Hermes is also his son. Additionally, in this universe, gods can die. die, so why does it matter that Heron is immortal? The gods aren't invincible. The characters get ready for war. They arm several catapults, which is a fitting choice, as these powerful siege weapons were used in ancient Greece to breach walls and disrupt enemy formations. Hephaestus crafted a bow and arrows for Heron, and the design is awesome. It's refreshing how Kofi chooses throwing disc weapons, and Evios uses a whip, not the usual spears and swords you always see in mythology stories. Kofi participated in athletic competitions, so it makes sense that he would be adept at using a throwing disc. Evios comes clean. The demons Alexia was chasing were there to meet him and Kofi. They found the remains of a giant and sold them to the demons. Heron tells them that if they want redemption, today's their lucky day. This shows that even in the darkest moments, there's a chance for atonement. It would have been nice to see those two giants who switch sides step in and help Zeus's team. They show up briefly in season 2, so we know that they're still around and their souls didn't get taken. It's cool seeing all the characters in their battle armor. It adds a sense of unity and strength, showcasing their readiness for the fight ahead. Athena's armor feels kind of bland compared to everyone else. Zeus is in charge. He declares that no army has ever taken Olympus, and no army ever will. His words show his steadfast confidence in the power and security of the gods' domain. The entire battle scene is epic, reminiscent of the final showdown in Avengers Endgame. Both sides are packed with strong and formidable fighters, unleashing their full might in the conflict, making it a clash of titanic forces. A scene like this in a live-action movie would cost a fortune because of all the complicated CGI, but the show is animated, so it still feels grand while maintaining a more manageable budget. The animation allows for amazing visuals without the hefty price tag. It's awesome how Hermes uses his super speed to whip up a tornado. Evios and Kofi land near a giant, and Evios jokes that this is probably the first time in Kofi's life that he feels small. It's a funny moment amidst the tension, adding some lightness to the intensity of the situation. Several characters are riding winged horses. However, in mythology, there's only one winged horse, Pegasus. This giant resembles a manta ray, and is able to suck people into its wings. The director mentioned that he got the idea from Superman 3.
Superman 3, I kind of stole that from Superman 3.
Dionysus spits wine on a demon. A wild, funny moment for the god of wine. Poseidon and Zeus combine their attacks. Poseidon floods the battlefield with water, and then Zeus electrifies it, sending bolts of lightning through the water to fry all the enemies caught in it. It's an awesome, visually stunning moment that showcases their unstoppable might when they work together. The cauldron is nowhere to be found, but Heron sees that it's in the sky, being guarded by Hera's crows. He rides the griffin and soars into the air, shooting arrows at the crows to make them scatter. It's fun seeing Heron shoot several arrows at once, showing his talent and skill. Hera attacks Zeus, but he strikes her down. What was she expecting? There's a reason why Zeus is the king of the gods. His power and authority are unmatched, so he won't be defeated that easily. The cauldron falls from the sky, and Heron manages to catch it just in time, showcasing his incredible reflexes and determination. Zeus urges Hera to stop before it's too late, but Hera coldly responds, saying that Zeus has brought this upon himself. It's a chilling moment that highlights the intense divide between them. The main giant attacks Hera, but Zeus intervenes and saves her. Even though Hera betrayed him, Zeus still protects her, showing that his sense of duty and responsibility outweighs personal grievances. It's also obvious that the giants would turn on Hera. They were specifically created to destroy the gods, so there's no way the giants would listen to Hera. It's like handing a loaded weapon to someone who wants to kill you. Seraphim attacks Heron and kills his griffin. He tells Heron that he should choose sides more wisely. The ironic part is that Seraphim is currently on the losing side because Hera lost control of the giants. Hera is about to get crushed by the giant, but Zeus sacrifices himself to save her. In a final act of bravery, he detonates himself, giving up his own life to take down the giant, and demonstrating how selfless he is. It's also a bold choice to make Zeus die. This never happened in mythology because the Greek gods are immortal. The only other movie or show I can think of where Zeus dies is in Wrath of the Titans. Seraphim tells Heron that he should have joined him when he had the chance. Then he drops Heron. It's a cruel moment. Seraphim cuts Hera's arm off with his bident, but she manages to escape before he can finish her off. Seraphim has the bracer and the cauldron, so he now has control over the giants. It's a terrifying turn of events, as he holds the power to reshape the fate of the gods. With Zeus gone and none of the giants willing to turn on each other, it's clear that defeating them will be far more difficult this time. One of the giants attacks Ares, but Hermes saves him just in time, even though Ares had tried to kill Hermes earlier. This moment shows that despite everything, Hermes chooses integrity and loyalty over resentment. Ares' black armor mirrors his dark, brooding nature, and Hermes dressed in lighter armor symbolizes his good-hearted spirit. This contrast is a nice detail, highlighting the differences in their personalities and roles. Seraphim declares that there's no one left to stop him. However, Kofi attacks, causing Seraphim to lose the cauldron. Heron catches it, so Alexia saved Heron when Seraphim dropped him earlier. Meanwhile, Alexia kills Seraphim's chimera, sending him crashing to the ground. Seraphim knocks Alexia unconscious. Now it's just Heron versus Seraphim, brother against brother with everything on the line. Heron is a lot stronger now due to his training. Every punch is powerful enough to shatter the ground. It's the kind of raw force that sends shockwaves rippling through the earth. This is Heron's chance to redeem himself, after failing to defeat Seraphim in their first encounter. However, Seraphim overpowers Heron, summoning his bident to stab him in the chest. Heron recalls what Zeus taught him. He pushes the bident forward, stabbing himself and Seraphim Seraphim. This is most likely not what Zeus meant when he told Heron to turn inward. That was more metaphorical than literal, but whatever works, I guess. It turns out that Heron has inherited Zeus's lightning powers, and he kills Seraphim. In mythology, none of Zeus's children had his lightning powers. However, it makes sense that a demigod might also gain their godly parents' abilities, just like Percy Jackson, the son of Poseidon, who can summon crashing waves and bend water to his will. There was also a scene in the Legend of Hercules, where Heracles had the lightning powers of Zeus, but that's not accurate to mythology, just like the vast majority of that movie, which got nearly everything wrong. The main giant is somehow still alive and attacks Heron, but he uses the bracer from Seraphim's dead body to return all of the souls of the giants to the cauldron. They should burn all of the giants' remains this time, to ensure that nobody can ever resurrect them again. Heron later wakes up, bandaged and resting in bed. Most of his injuries have already healed, so he must have accelerated healing powers. Zeus's other sons are proud of Heron. Apollo then hands Heron Electra's necklace. Heron reunites with his friends. They're overjoyed to see him alive and well. It's also funny how Evios is talking to Aphrodite, as if a scoundrel like him has any chance with the literal goddess of love and beauty. And why are the gods who sided with Hera even allowed back to Olympus? They turned against their own kind. Banishment should have been the bare minimum. Seraphim awakens in the underworld, and Hades talks to him. Fred Tatascior's voice is perfect for Hades, capturing the god's dark, commanding presence with just the right amount of gravitas and menace. He doesn't have a British accent like the other gods, but I guess that's because he's not usually considered to be an Olympian, so they wanted to do something different for him. It was a clever twist how they didn't reveal Seraphim in his ghostly form at first. It adds an extra layer of surprise to the moment, catching you off guard because Seraphim's location isn't clear right away. Hades offers to help Seraphim and rescue him from the destiny that awaits. He demands Seraphim to kneel. Filled with anger, Seraphim has had enough of the gods. However, the gods aren't done with him yet, setting the stage for the next chapter in season 2. Many viewers likely found Seraphim to be a more interesting character than Heron, and it's easy to see why. Heron is your typical underdog, and Seraphim is more complex, with a dark layered personality that makes him a compelling and unpredictable figure. It's interesting to see the alternate character designs for Zeus. They could have gone with the usual white-haired design, but the one we got in the show feels more original. There are also many different variations of Poseidon's character design. One even features armor based on a lobster shell, which is a creative take, highlighting his connection to the sea in a fun way. It's cool to see the different designs for the cauldron. They could have gone with a more traditional box or chest, but the design they chose has a mystical quality that makes it stand out. The producers thank several people, including what I assume are their family members given that they share the same last name. It's a thoughtful and personal gesture showing appreciation for those closest to them. That concludes the analysis for Blood of Zeus Season 1. From the characters to the animation, there's definitely a lot to appreciate. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Episode 8, The Three Trials. Apollo shows up to talk to Hermes, and it's clear neither of them are doing well. Demeter's spores are still affecting them, making them feel half dead. Apollo suspects that Hera is behind all of this, blaming her for what's happening. He points out that she's always hated Zeus's other children, especially the ones he had with other women. This lines up with mythology. Hera was known for her intense jealousy and hostility towards Zeus's illegitimate offspring, like Heracles and Dionysus, so Apollo's suspicion feels justified, adding tension to the growing conflict among the gods. Apollo also adds that Hera knows he and his sister Artemis still hate her for trying to kill their mother. In mythology, Apollo and Artemis were born to Leto, one of Zeus's lovers. Hera, furious about the affair, tried to prevent her from giving birth by forbidding any land from offering her shelter. Eventually, she found refuge on the floating island of Delos, where she gave birth to Artemis and then Apollo. So Apollo's bitterness toward Hera makes sense. Hera didn't just hate Artemis and Apollo, she tried to prevent them from being born. This adds more emotional weight to the gods' divisions, and the personal grudges fueling their conflict. Demeter being able to spy through the flowers is an interesting and creative showcase of her abilities. It ties directly to her role as the goddess of nature and agriculture, showing that her connection to the earth isn't just about growth and harvest, it's also about awareness and control. By using flowers as her eyes and ears, she turns something beautiful into a tool of surveillance, reminding us that even the most peaceful aspects of nature can be twisted for power. It's a subtle but effective way to show how far she's willing to go. Aphrodite finally speaks, marking the first time her character has actual speaking lines in the series. It's a significant moment, as it signals that she's stepping out of the background and starting to play a more active role in the story. Given her status as one of the major Olympian gods, her voice adds weight to the scene, and her presence suggests that the conflict among the gods is reaching a point where even those who've stayed quiet until now can't remain on the sidelines any longer. Persephone confronts Demeter and demands to know what her mother has done. Demeter lies and pins all of the blame on Hades. It's a clear sign of how cunning and manipulative Demeter really is. She's willing to twist the truth and throw Hades under the bus, just to protect her plan. Persephone is devastated by the revelation, and Demeter sees that as an opportunity. By driving a wedge between Persephone and Hades, Demeter shows she still holds deep hatred for him, and is more than willing to exploit her own daughter's pain to get what she wants. Athena is able to spy through the eyes of an owl, which is a cool and fitting ability, since owls are closely associated with her in mythology. The owl is her sacred animal and a symbol of wisdom, so using one as her eyes not only reinforces her identity, but also highlights her clever, watchful nature. It's a smart way to show how Athena stays informed and involved, even from a distance, and it adds a mythologically accurate touch to her powers. Seraphim arrives in the Hidden Realm, where Hades tells him he'll have to face 3 challenges. This setup fits well with Greek mythology, where heroes and mortals are often tested through trials or quests to prove their worth. For example, Heracles had to complete 12 labors, each more difficult than the last, and Odysseus faced countless challenges on his journey home in the Odyssey. These trials weren't just about strength, they tested courage, cleverness, and perseverance. So giving Seraphim a series of challenges ties into that classic mythological tradition of being forged through hardship. Seraphim sees Gorgo, but he quickly realizes it's a trick. This moment shows that he's not easily deceived. He's sharp and alert, able to see through illusions and emotional traps. It highlights Seraphim's awareness and mental strength, proving that he won't fall for distractions or manipulation, no matter how personal they seem. A hologram of Hecate appears and speaks to Seraphim, offering him a tempting choice. She could turn back time and let him change one moment in his life. He could save Gorgo from the treebender and build a life with her, or kill his uncle Acrisius and take the throne for himself. But Seraphim refuses. He knows it's just part of the challenge. And more importantly, he understands that the past can't be rewritten. It's a powerful moment. He's not chasing what could have been. He's focused on what lies ahead. Someone with a weaker will might have fallen for the trap and failed the challenge, but not Seraphim. His resolve is strong, and he doesn't let the temptation of changing his past cloud his judgment. Where others might have been swayed by the promise of rewriting history, Seraphim stands firm, proving that his strength lies not just in his physical abilities, but in his determination to face the future, no matter how difficult. In Greek mythology, Hecate isn't traditionally known for having time travel or time manipulation powers, so offering Seraphim the chance to go back in time and change the past would fall outside the scope of her mythological abilities. This kind of power would more likely be associated with deities specifically linked to time, such as Kronos, the primordial embodiment of time. Seraphim also calls Hecate a witch god, which is fitting, as she's strongly associated with witchcraft in mythology. Known as the goddess of magic, the moon, and crossroads, she has long been linked to the practice of sorcery and the supernatural. Referring to her as a witch god ties directly into that aspect of her character, acknowledging her power over mystical forces, and the darker, more mysterious side of the divine. Seraphim knows that a wise king must be able to let go of the past in order to move forward. This is why he believes he's not suited to be a king, since he can't do that. It's a humbling moment for him, one that brings to light his understanding of his own limitations. By acknowledging his weakness, Seraphim demonstrates not only self-awareness, but also the wisdom to know that growth often comes from letting go of past mistakes and burdens. This moment of humility shows that true leadership isn't about holding on to everything, but about knowing when to release and embrace the future. Seraphim gets attacked by a dragon. These are part of Greek mythology, but they're a little different from the usual fire-breathing winged creatures we see in Western stories. The Greek draken is actually more like a huge poisonous snake, often with venomous breath or spit. For example, one of the most well-known drakens in Greek mythology is Ladon, a fearsome multi-headed serpent-like creature who guarded the golden apples in the Garden of the Hesperides. Ladon's role was to protect the apples from anyone who might try to steal them, making him a key figure in the famous myth of Heracles, who as part of his 12 labors had to retrieve the golden apples. The dragon in the show can breathe fire, which is a pretty common trope we see in many stories. Fire-breathing dragons are a staple in modern-day fantasy shows and movies. The dragon in the show is red, a color rich with symbolism. In mythology, red dragons often represent power, fire, passion, and sometimes danger or dominance. However, they can also symbolize protection and national pride. The red dragon, a powerful emblem of strength and resilience, appears on the Welsh flag, and is deeply rooted in Arthurian and Celtic legends. The fight scene is absolutely intense, with fast-paced action that keeps you on the edge of your seat the whole time. Every move is quick and thrilling, making it impossible to look away. Seraphim's skills are put to the test as he faces off against the dragon, dodging flames and countering its powerful strikes. It's a battle full of tension and excitement, and just when it seems like the odds are stacked against him, Seraphim manages to outsmart and defeat the dragon with his bident. The moment he finally kills it is a satisfying payoff after all the danger, showing just how much he's grown in the heat of battle. Seraphim successfully completes the first challenge and moves on to the next one, but it feels like he he actually faced two challenges here. First, he had to pass Hecate's test, which wasn't easy on its own. Then right after that, he had to fight and defeat the dragon. It's like he had to overcome both a mental and a physical trial, each testing him in different ways. So even though he's moved on to the next challenge, the last one already feels like it pushed him to his limits in more ways than one. Heron, Alexia, and Kofi arrive at the cave. Heron confidently tells the Curities that he's the son of Zeus. To prove it, he shows them the ring, a symbol of his divine heritage. This moment is powerful because it's not just about Heron making a claim. It's about him stepping into his identity and embracing who he really is. The Curities, who are usually skeptical and serious, are taken aback, and you can feel the tension as they process the truth behind Heron's words. It's a turning point for him, marking a shift in how others see him, and how he starts to understand his own role in the larger story. Heron asks the Curities if anyone has entered the Hidden Realm, and just as expected they reply nobody has entered. However, the characters spot Seraphim's footprints, and immediately realize it was him who entered the Hidden Realm. Despite all his clever planning and trying to stay under the radar, Seraphim slipped up and left behind a clue he couldn't hide. It shows that no matter how carefully you try to cover your tracks, something can always give you away. Even the most calculated moves sometimes have small unexpected consequences. For the second challenge, Seraphim comes face to face with a Sphinx, a creature that appears in both Greek and Egyptian mythology. The most well-known Sphinx of Greek mythology comes from the story of Oedipus. In Egyptian mythology, the Sphinx is usually male, and symbolizes strength or protection. They don't have wings like the Greek Sphinx. The Sphinx in the show has a snake for a tail, adding a twist to its traditional appearance. In Greek mythology, sphinxes are usually depicted with a lion's body, a woman's head, and eagle's wings, but not typically with a snake tail. It gives this version of the Sphinx a more dangerous serpent-like quality, making it even more intimidating. The Sphinx orders Seraphim to open a box, warning that doing so will force him to confront his deepest fear. This immediately brings to mind the most famous story in Greek mythology about a box, which is Pandora's box. In that myth, Pandora is given a box, or jar in the original version, and told not to open it, but her curiosity gets the best of her, and when she opens it, she unleashes all the evils of the world, leaving only hope inside. The story of Pandora's box carries several important lessons and messages. One of the main themes is the idea of curiosity, and the consequences of giving into it. Pandora, despite being warned not to open the box, succumbs to her curiosity, and in doing so releases all the evils into the world, things like disease, suffering, and greed. The myth serves as a reminder that some things are better left unknown, and there can be serious consequences when we act impulsively, or without thinking about the outcomes. However, there's also a more optimistic side to the myth. After all the evils are released, there's one thing left inside the box: hope. This suggests that even in the face of hardship and suffering, hope remains a powerful force. The myth can be seen as a reflection on human nature. While we may face struggles and challenges, there's always the possibility of hope that can help us endure and keep moving forward. In essence, the story of Pandora's box reminds us of the balance between curiosity, responsibility, and the enduring power of hope, even in difficult times.